bloody day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out to Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvolt, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik86, Jaronism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Renee, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock App, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker, and Tom Hawkins. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we do have a few people in both the G Plus and Discord servers, so I'll take them all off mute and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for the next live show.
It's probably the headset I'm using while I'm working around the house. Sorry, I know I'm making a lot of noise. That's why I stay on mute a lot.
Don't worry. You cannot beat Lily.
Yeah, I got to feed Lily, exactly. Feed Mommy and Lily. My wife, this is her last 2 days, and I'm going to be off probably until probably 7th or 8th of January, because I take Christmas off because it gets so slow. And of course, we're having the baby here in about a week and a half, less than a week and a half. So I'll be out for that too for about a week. So I'll be taking a lot of time off here soon.
Exciting times.
That sounds good.
The second one's a lot easier than the first, in my experience.
Oh, I missed that first part, Nathan. What'd you say?
I said, exciting times. The second one is a lot easier than the first, in my experience. Now, I'm sure that's not true for everybody.
For sure.
Yeah, you kind of know what to do, so you already kind of walked through the experience and all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Well, no, not really. Well, yeah, that's true too. That's true too. I don't mean no. Yes, that's also true. But I mean, my first is a bit like me in the respect that she's an insomniac, and she's also quite fussy, and you know, she's a bit of a handful. But you don't know that till you've got anything to compare it to. So obviously, you tell other parents, well, no, she never sleeps, and they're like, really? And you're like, yeah. But of course, to you, you just think that's normal and all the rest of it. Even though people are expressing slight shock when you tell them certain things about how Eleanor is. Don't get me wrong, 99% of the time she's absolutely adorable, but some of the time she's quite challenging.
Yeah, Lily's been that way too, so I understand. I definitely get it.
But the second one's been totally different. You know, she sleeps all night. She's just very different. Much easier.
Yeah, we're hoping Jessie will sleep through the night, so that's what we're hoping.
Like, you speak to the parents and they're like, oh, is she sleeping through yet? When they're like 4 months, 5 months old. Well, with Eleanor, she never ever slept through, whereas Clover immediately slept through. It's weird. You get her back and immediately should sleep. And you're like, this is very odd. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Aren't we supposed to be absolutely exhausted? You know, we got more sleep with the new one here than with just one. It was bizarre. But there we go.
Well, yeah, we when Lily first gave her first full night's sleep, I woke up about 6 o'clock going, oh crap, what's wrong with Lily? Because we slept through the night for the first time. It was funny.
We never have. The baby's got more sleep than us, because she'll sleep through Eleanor screaming. But typically speaking, our night is made up of the baby sleeping quite happily, apart from when she needs feeding, and Eleanor generally getting up and screaming and being a pain in the ass.
That's funny.
Even now. So there we go. The second one has been easier.
Hopefully. I'm hoping Jessie will be a lot easier. Cross your fingers. Well, just to give you guys a little anecdotal story, we're naming her Jessie because Jessica, or Jessie means God's gift. And obviously, since she's born around Christmas, we thought that was appropriate.
Very nice. So, Jessica.
Well, now we don't know if we're going to call her Jessica or not. That's the kicker. We don't know. There's other forms of it. I got a cousin named Jessica, but I thought about just calling her Jessie, make that her legal name. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Jessica's nicer. That's why your cousin's called Jessica. But it's not like, that's your generation has got a Jessica in it that's related to you in that way, but she's obviously miles younger, and it won't make any difference that she's got a much older relative that's got the same name. But Jessica's a really nice name. Well, that's just my opinion.
No, we actually thought about, like, Lily's, her legal name is Lillian. We just call her Lily. And it's just that way she has that option if she gets older, if she's applying for a job or something like that, her legal name is a little bit more formal. And we've thought about that with Jessie too, having a little bit more formal name. So
yeah, exactly. So christen her Jessica, but call her Jessie.
Right, exactly.
Like we christened Eleanor, but we call her Sausage Head.
Sausage Head. That's funny.
I could link the two together.
What's that?
Sausage. Very good. Very good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, 10th man.
Yeah, I'll give you one. Do you guys remember I don't know if you had this. I don't know if you had it in the UK or not.
Yeah.
I know the American guys will know it, but Dukes of Hazzard. Have you heard of Dukes of Hazzard?
Of course.
Well, my grandmother, way before that show ever came out, when I was real little, probably younger than Lily, the only way she could get me to eat is if she said, "Cooter, cooter, cooter, cooter." And guess what my nickname is growing up in my family? So they call me Cooter, but it's the same character in the Dukes of Hazzard. That's the mechanic. That's the tow truck driver. It's the same name. So, but I had the name before the show even showed up. So, that's my nickname.
Yeah, it's
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
The General Lee, right?
The what? The General what?
The car.
Guess what?
No, yeah, General Lee's the Dukes of Hazzard. Yes, yeah.
I'm more interested in the car.
Oh, yeah. It was the Dodge. Is it Dodge Charger? I think, if I'm right. I can't remember exactly. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's a proper V8 muscle car.
Yeah.
I really 69, right?
Correct, 69. Hey, you know your stuff. Check you out. That's right. 69.
I do know that. I do know this. They had several cars that they'd use, to make it. It wasn't just the one car. They had multiple cars to do all the scenes. Because if you watch some of the jumps, you can see that the undercarriage and the frame was bent when it hit the ground in some of the shots. I was like, that car won't function now, So,
no, sure. I mean, they had loads of, obviously, I would imagine that most of them were just the 325s, but, the fantasy is that every single one of them's got a Magnum engine in, right? That's what your fantasy is. That's the idea, at least.
Have you guys heard of, I know 10th Man may have heard of it, but you've heard, and Righteous may have. You heard of Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg? Have you heard of that?
Say it again.
Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. It's actually local here to our area. It's like a tourist trap. Dolly Parton, I know you've heard of Dolly Parton, back when she was real famous. She's from Sevier County, which is where that's at. She went and took all that money she won and poured it into Sevier County. And it's a small county, but it's one of the richest counties in Tennessee. And because of that, because she poured some money into the tourist area. Well, there's a store in Gatlinburg called Cooters. So, and it's all the Dukes of Hazzard memorabilia is down there. It's kind of funny.
Brought it up on screen.
Oh, you said you want me to put it on screen?
Yeah, well, a picture of the General Lee.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of which, I just watched a restoration of a 69 Charger that sold for over 200,000 at the Mecum Auto Show. Did you see that, Nathan?
No, but I've watched many similar things drive across auction blocks for hundreds of thousands of dollars that you wouldn't expect. because it's
they got
I mean,
a
it's a
lot
muscle
more
car,
on this
but
one than they thought.
the point of those cars was that they were attainable by your average Joes. It's the same for the modern one. Same with the Mustang. Although these days, you get some what were considered muscle cars that are edging up to like $100,000 mark retail. You just think, well, this is now silly because it's way, way, way beyond the apprehension, the acquisition of your average Joe blue collar guy. Most of them can't afford to go out and buy a Mustang, and if they can, they come away with a 2-litre EcoBoost, and you're like, that's in your Focus. That's not a Mustang muscle car or pony car. That's a load of well, I could moan all day, but the whole idea of those types of cars was to put some V8 muscle in your average Joe's possession. But now they've gone beyond that, and it's kind of, all right, you've got $100,000 muscle car, have you? All right.
Yeah, I've been on the other side of the coin is like Ford was supposed to be when the Model T came out back in who knows how far long ago, that was supposed to be like the ordinary guy's vehicle. Everybody could own it. And I've been thinking now, it's like, I drive a Ford Ranger, and I thought I'm gonna go just price out a bigger truck, and I paid like $18,000 I think for mine. If you think about that, a Ford Ranger, $18,000. I mean, if I go get the F-150 or F-250 or F-350 or whatever, you're looking at upward of 60, 70, 80. It could be no, actually that might be a little too high, but anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000, $50,000 for a pickup truck.
No, they're getting there. Within the next couple of years, there'll be $100,000 rigs. Your average Joe rigs, like long bed, double cabs. Normal people drive those types of cars, right? And you'll get up to they've already got them in forms of Mercedes Benz and things, but they're not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your average Joe. I'm sure Doug DeMuro do a review on one that was $90,000, and you're like, these are workhorses, $90,000. You're having a laugh. It's just got silly.
Well, I mean, when I bought my house, I paid $105,000 for it. Think about it. So there's a car that's worth as much as my house. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, when I was growing up, that was supercar price. You expected to pay $100,000 for a Ferrari, and a house was $100,000. In other words, your supercar cost as much as a house. But now it's beyond that. Now it's not even called supercars; it's hypercars, and they cost $1 million plus. So it's way, way, way beyond what a house costs for your average Joe. In other words, a supercar used to be comparable to your average blue-collar Joe's house price, and now a supercar isn't a supercar, it's a pony car. And you're like, oh, this is rubbish. So you get to the point where you can afford to spend the same amount as a house on a car, and what do you end up with? A Mustang. You're like, what? This isn't right. Or a very nice Merc. You're like, what happened to the days of a Ferrari costing $100,000 and a normal car costing 20? It's like, well, no, normal cars still do cost $20,000, but hypercars now cost $1 million. It's just bonkers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Elisha, did you want to say something?
There was a conversation being had the other day that might be potentially a big conversation.
Was it about the GT2 RS versus the GT3?
Sorry, no, I was switching the course of conversation. Well, I just at least wanted to bring it up before the live show. So yesterday, this guy brings up H2O, and he was like, how do we know that this is legit? And everybody's like, it is what it is. Table of elements, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, yeah, but the problem with that is look who came up with it. And it's Henry Cavendish.
And
so, like, that's the same guy that did the whole quote-unquote Cavendish balls experiment.
I don't know where you're linking these two together. My understanding was the periodic table is derived from quantum mechanics as opposed to from Cavendish in the case of H2O, but maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, the guy, trust me, I don't know. That's why I'm bringing the conversation here, but the way the guy was explaining it was, he was like, well, if it's like real, then there should be some experimentation. So show me where you can put two hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom together to create water.
Don't they do that in high school?
I don't know. He seemed to be very sure that there's no experiment that proves this.
I seem to remember doing it in high school. Again, this is a very long time ago, so this seems... I don't want to get stuff wrong because it's so basic. People love finding these foibles from me, but my understanding of this has come from a high school education in that regard. I seem to remember vaguely doing an experiment, if you can call it that. It's not establishing a cause and effect, it's just a demonstration. But scientific validity
Nathan,
comes... Sorry, just one second.
I know the experiment you're talking about.
Go on, tell me.
I know the experiment you were talking about, and the same experiment we used to do at high school, obviously we're close to the same age, was basically we used to split water. So we used to get oxygen and hydrogen, so you can actually measure the difference between how much hydrogen and how much oxygen you actually get.
Right. I vaguely remember Quantum Eraser specifically pummeling Pete and Pete on this very subject about 6 months ago. So while I can't remember the intricacies of it, and I had no interest in debunking it, I just saw it as folly. But QE did. I didn't. I'll ask him when he turns up. How's that?
Excellent.
Perfect.
Isn't the byproduct of a hydrogen engine though water? Because I was actually looking that up right now.
That's correct.
When you burn, what's that?
That's correct. Spits
Okay,
water,
so,
literally water out the exhaust pipe. That's correct.
So there is a chemical reaction occurring, and the molecules are binding. So there you go.
I think the overall story sounds
I wish
like the guy
I
wanted.
wish I remember what the guy's name is, because I wish I could drag him in here. I'm sure
You'll remember
he'll have
the-
a problem trying to explain it.
But you'll remember the...
I remember who it is.
You'll remember the demonstration from school, though?
Yeah.
Because they get you to light a taper and stick it over the hydrogen. Do you not remember that? It goes pop?
I don't think I was there for that. What you said something? There was a show.
No. At high school, they'd have done this with you, and they'd have got you to do it practically with a lit taper to show that you've got hydrogen. And it goes...
Okay, well...
Pop.
Yeah, I guess it's the way he asked the... Well, then again, I guess you're right, because that's exactly what he said isn't happening.
I think
I don't want to get his argument wrong, but it does seem like you're coming up with answers that no one else threw out there.
Okay. Like I say, I'm doing more than I wanted.
I remember exactly who it was.
I'm just stretching my memory to high school. That's all I'm doing.
Out.
Sorry. Go
I'll
ahead,
ask the question later again.
You what? Sorry, the one?
I'll ask the question later.
What was that, flatulent?
Go ahead, Unicorn. Thanks, the one.
No, I said
heard.
I will ask the question later again.
Perfect, I heard. Thank you. There was both
Can you hear
educated
flatulent?
numpty. Hold on. There was educated numpty and Unicorn both trying to get a word in though. So educated numpty, do you want to go first? As you were...
No, I was just about to say, I remember the same thing that you did, where we basically had two tubes coming off, one for the hydrogen and one for the oxygen. You used to have the taper for the hydrogen, and we used to have a candle for the oxygen. And you used to blow out the candle, then relight it by putting it back in the oxygen.
Yeah.
Can I finish the statement I was trying to start?
He said, yeah, because oxygens come. One thing he did say was oxygens come from water, and he's like, why do we think that they come from trees?
The one said he will ask the question later, so maybe we should just wait.
And we
Sure,
learned
sure.
about that in high school too. Okay. This is all Pete and Peter stuff, and
I think you may be getting his claim wrong, Elijah, so we'll just wait for the one.
Yeah, yes. I guess I was most triggered by the carrier of this information. I was like, what?
well, don't
No.
be. Any claim that anybody makes could be wrong or right. It's about, if you're citing an individual, then it's not just their citation that backs your claim. In this instance, an individual. It doesn't matter who the person is that makes the claim either. So I think in the past I've said words to the effect of, if a locked up murderer makes a legitimate claim that you could go out and verify, then that's valid. If a trusted priest who's extremely well respected makes a nonsense assertion, then it's still a nonsense assertion. So by the same token, Feynman, for instance, there's plenty of bullshit you can find from Feynman, if you look. Absolutely tons of it if you look hard enough. But that's not to say that, for the most part, a lot of what he says is extremely valid and easy to double check. So to sort of smear the source is kind of like a poisoning the well fallacy. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that Einstein has done. You know, I'm sure it's the photoelectric effect and various other things that are scientifically valid that you can attribute to Einstein. I could be wrong, I hope I haven't got that incorrect. But my point is that Einstein has done certain experiments. And if you want to cite them and double check them, then they're just as valid as anything else that's empirically valid. So to sort of poison the sources isn't reasonable, because it doesn't matter who says what, it's what they say and whether or not it's true that matters, not the source. Cavendish, yeah, is attributed to that particular quasi-experiment, which we can debunk. Wow. Anyway, it just doesn't mean that everything that man has ever said ever is totally wrong. That's you know, that's true for absolutely any source ever.
Yeah, I get you. You're 100% right. Because, for instance, a lot of my information to go against the ballers comes from the fact that they believe that this hasn't been a debate, an ongoing debate. They think that it stopped. And so I use a lot of hostile witnesses to prove that this discussion has actually been going on. So you're right about that.
Well, it sounds like you're confusing the standards of evidence with legal standards when you say, you know, like you made out like it's testimony of a witness. Now, credibility is important in those instances when it comes to an account of something someone saw, for example. So if your account is coming from somebody that has made up a load of nonsense in the past, then obviously their credibility isn't such that you would trust what they saw. So in that instance, poisoning the well would be an effective way of discrediting somebody who's recounting something they saw and no one else did. In other words, if they're completely trustworthy and they never have been known to tell a single word of a lie, then their first-hand witness account is more credible. But in the case of what we detail here, it doesn't really come into it, how credible the witness is. It's not legal evidence. We're dealing with scientific evidence, i.e., is it empirically valid or isn't it? And in the case of the Cavendish experiment, which it isn't, it's not empirically valid, and that's what we pick apart, as opposed to, well, what was Cavendish like as a dude? Was he credible? Should we trust what he says? Who cares? It's claimed to be an experiment, and it isn't. That's all that matters. The guy is just a namesake for this experiment that isn't an experiment. That's all he is in that regard. So his you know, you could list a whole number of things. His personal relationships with people, his connections. Let's say he's a full-on Freemason. It doesn't matter. It makes absolutely no difference. All that matters is the validity he's suggesting when he says experiment and whether or not it has it. So it's much easier with scientific evidence than legal evidence.
Point well taken.
Well, I completely agree with that, and that was partly my point today when on the 24/7 Discord server, QE was attacked for you know, for the way he approaches debates and whatnot. It's the same thing, you know. He was getting hit with ad homs because of the way he was coming across. So it says nothing about his argument, the way he comes across. It's whether he provides citations and, you know, whether he has substance to what he says.
Precisely. It doesn't matter if he's screaming, ranting. It doesn't matter if he's off his tits when he does it. It doesn't matter if he's completely pissed or slurring every word. It makes absolutely no difference. Is what he's saying correct or isn't it? Can it be validated? Can it be backed up? Are the citations used credible in their own right? Can they be backed up? Is the claim testable? All these things appeal to format fallacy. If you're just going to say, well, he's slurring his words. Yeah, he's shit-faced, but he's still right. You know, not that he is, but I'm just using a farcical example.
Yeah, and funny enough, the girl did eventually, you know, she did concede. She was like, you know, I just wanted to understand what he was saying. I see that he was right, but he didn't have to be so mean about it, you know. So I get that sentiment from people, especially people who aren't used to these Discord servers or any. Well, I mean, I don't know how you're not used to it if you've been online, but some people are triggered easy.
Sounds that way.
Should I ask the question now? $4 minutes to live show, so better to wait for later.
Sure. What question? Do you mean the question to QE is not here?
No. It's because he brought up the topic, and actually I started the conversation in Discord about chemistry. And the thing is that I asked Adam, so in nature we don't see water vapor dissolving into oxygen and hydrogen. So do we observe it anytime in nature happening in any circumstances?
Okay. Like I say, Adam's not here, QE's not here, I don't know. So you can keep it till either of them get here. Ask them.
Yeah. I just expressed my opinion and view that I think when we electrolyze water, we get man-made products, not a natural phenomena dissolving actual water.
Okay. But hydrogen and oxygen are also naturally found, though. And when you combine them, you still get water.
But you said before on the show that that's impossible.
What's impossible?
Combining hydrogen and oxygen and getting water?
No, there's a difference between putting something in one and trying to make it have a chemical reaction when you're just putting something in and it's diluted in it. That's not a chemical reaction. So you had it detailed earlier about the process you can use to drive a car, and that process produces water. Anyway, like I say, I don't think anybody's suggesting for a second that the fact that water is what it is needs scientific validity. It's not an occurrence. Now you're saying, well, when you split it apart, that's not a naturally occurring occurrence. Therefore, how can you claim science on it? Well, I didn't think anybody was. Anyway, I'm going to start the live show in a minute.
Well,
I mean, I've been sharing a video about how they use electrolysis to separate hydrogen and oxygen from water.
We can go over it on the live show if you wish. If this is still something that's hovering around because of Pete and Pete, then fair enough, let's cover it. But seems that that is the case by the looks of things.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Righteous Force, Paul Hall, 10th Man, Chocolate Saying, The One, and I think that's pretty much it in G+. Very good to have you all.
Morning.
Hello, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Hello also to everyone in the Discord server.
Morning.
Hello. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Italy.
No, sir.
Go on, Flatulent Unicorn, was that just a no?
That was just a no, sir.
Fair enough. So, something I'm going to try driving home a bit more over the next however long is the idea of their edge. Their edge being the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe they live on a sphere. Now, we are charged quite frequently with a lack of evidence for the edge. Now, the edge is a Flat Earth Society narrative that's been punted out with this flying pancake in space that we do not in any way endorse. But we're nevertheless asked for our edge. Oh, have you found the edge yet? Well, if the Earth was flat, wouldn't you go out to the edge? Well, what edge? I'm not claiming there's any edge. I have made no such claim, and this is a Flat Earth Society narrative, straw man that you are burning, that I do not hold. If you claim I do, then that's a stereotyping fallacy, because I do not hold any model at all. Models are pseudoscience. Nevertheless, given that is the case, and we as Flat Earthers are charged with this edge, even though in our instances we don't have one, and we're not offering one, and we don't use it as an argument, but someone else who's considered control opposition does, and you're burning a straw man and claiming we have it as a stereotyping fallacy. That all aside, the globe heads do have an edge. They claim boats go over the edge of their sphere model. So when we see a boat getting small, into the distance, reducing in angular size, they'll tell us that the feet and inches value of that boat is going over the reified edge of their sphere. So from this point forward, I'm going to start asking these fundamentalist religious zealots who believe they live on a sphere model, known as the heliocentric model, to take me to their edge. And when they say, well, what edge? You're the one who thinks you've got an edge. No, I claim no edge. But you do. You know that thing you think the boats are going over when they retain their feet and inches value? I.e. you ignore all aspects of perspective and say it's going over the edge of your model. So, fundy globeheads, take me to your edge. Now, we call the edge what it actually is, a not actual location. It's called the horizon. But these fundies, they reify their globe model into this not actual location called the horizon. It's the edge of the fundies' belief. And you can't get there. It's not an actual location. But believe me, they think it is, because they think boats are going over it. It's preposterous. It's an edge. It's a reification of their model. We don't have an edge, and I'm tired of hearing about edges that we don't have, but they do. So take us to your edge, fundies. Your reified position where the sky appears to meet the ground, also known as the horizon, the vanishing point, that thing you ignore in the mathematics when you calculate how much boat's going over your reified edge. So, worth strapping on perhaps in the Earth curve argument, as the Earth curve they give us in calculation form is the reified edge, that these things are apparently being obscured by. Moving on.
Actually, Nathan, you must have an edge.
I must have an edge.
Yeah. Based
When have I
on
claimed-
what you say, even if what you believe the Earth continues to go on forever, yeah, you claim that there is a container up there to contain the Earth's atmosphere. Well, that container must come down and meet the Earth at some point.
I've made no such claim.
Therefore, that would be your edge,
Sorry, I've made no such
because
claim.
you wouldn't be able to go any
Say
further.
it 4 more times till he listens. When have I made that claim? I have not made that claim. That is incorrect. I have not made that claim.
So you're saying that you've never said that we can't have the Earth's atmosphere without a container?
Oh, that's correct. We can't have gas pressure without a container. It's the necessary antecedent for the gas pressure that we have.
Right,
Nice that you recognise
the Earth's
that.
atmosphere is contained within a container.
Nice that you can reach that logical deduction from my statement that without the container, there can be no pressure. It's nice that you have just logically deduced that we must be contained. You have made that logical deduction. I very, very purposefully don't make that, so that fundies like you can come and do it for me. Thank you for making it plain that we must be contained by logical deduction that you have made, and I very specifically do not. So, I'd like an apology. I've not made that claim. You've made that logical deduction based on a necessary antecedent-consequent relationship that's dictated by gas law. Without the container, there can be no pressure. That's correct. Do we have gas pressure here? Yes, we do. And by logical deduction, you're saying we must therefore be contained. You're saying that, not me.
No, what I'm saying is by your logic.
By my logic that you've just voiced. I do not make that claim. You are wrong. I'm getting more pissed off because you're just going to continue to strawman me and say that I do make that claim. No, you've just said you're using my logic. So I don't make the claim, but I make the logic explicit so that you can make the logical deduction. That's the second time I've said this. Thank you for coming here and voicing it, you fundy globehead zealot. Yes, we must be contained according to you, using my logic based on an antecedent-consequent relationship. Without the container, there can be no pressure, quoted from one of your other fundy globehead zealots named Conspiracy Cats. So yeah, you can make that logical deduction. That's why I phrase it the way I do, so that you make that logical deduction. So we must be contained. Is that right? Thank you for letting us know that, Highlander.
Well, I never claimed that we are contained within a container. That's a flat earth thing.
Sorry, I say it's a necessary antecedent because it is. It's a fact. Can you show me gas pressure without a container? Go, do it.
Hang on a second.
It's a necessary antecedent consequent thing. Do you know what that means? If not, just show me gas pressure without a container so that you can violate, invalidate, make not true what I have stated as fact by demonstration. I'm merely demonstrating a fact that's made explicit by gas law, by Boyle's law, by loads of other laws that talk about gas. Without the container, there can be no pressure. Now, what that does is violate your claim of sky vacuum and containerless Earth. That's what it does. Now, I know that you can take that one step further and take it into a logical deduction that we must be contained. You can do that if you want to. I choose not to, because there's no need. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? By the way of natural law.
But isn't saying that the natural antecedent is a reification fallacy?
I only got half of that. You broke up a little bit. Can you try again?
Sorry. By saying it's a natural antecedent to have a dome or container, whatever you want to call it, wouldn't that actually be a reification fallacy?
I haven't said that, though. I've said, in regards to gas and how gas behaves, I'm not talking about the entirety of the world, just gas and how it behaves. And I'll quote people like Conspiracy Cats on the Globehead side. Quote, without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote. Now that's a declaration of the antecedent of containment for pressure. Now I can ask you a question at the end rather than declaring we've got a fucking dome. I can say, do we have gas pressure? Because that's what I was talking about. Oh yes, we do definitely have gas pressure. So that would infer that the sky is definitely not a vacuum then. Outer space is fake.
But by saying outer space is fake, that is a presupposition fallacy.
What the fuck is a presupposition fallacy? Are you just making up fallacies now to sound clever?
No, you have presupposed that space is fake.
No, I've demonstrated it by way of antecedent, you fucktard. Sit back down and shut up. Don't make up fallacies. Try and debunk what I've said. The necessary antecedent for gas pressure, which we definitely have here, is a container. That's what I've said. It's a necessary antecedent consequent relationship. Don't just make up a fallacy to try and sound clever. Try and debunk what I've actually said Maybe repeat what I've said so that we all know you understood what I said, then debunk it. Go.
Right, you've said that you need a container to have gas pressure, correct?
It's a necessary antecedent.
Right, so therefore, if I'm standing at sea level and the pressure is 14.7 psi, and I walk up to the top of, say, the White Cliffs of Dover, and it's 14.5 psi, at which point do I go through any containers?
So what the hell are you babbling about?
You said pressure needs a container.
Can you define gas pressure?
I have just walked through
Can you define
two
that?
different types of pressure without a container.
So what, you've got a pressure differential? Wowee. You still need the necessary antecedent of a container to have the gas pressure in the first place. So this little aside doesn't address the fact that in order to have that gas pressure, in this instance, differential, the gas would also require containment in the first instance. So let's get it clear for you. First, you must have containment. Then you introduce gas. Then you can have gradients. So without the container, there'd be no gas pressure, let alone a gas pressure gradient. Do you understand that your argument is a straw man? It doesn't address the necessary antecedent of a container. It talks about something that would also take place in a container.
But in a sealed container, there is no gradient.
Sorry, why would you make such a declaration when it's complete tripe? You can easily demonstrate gas pressure gradients in containers. We have dynamic systems. It's very simple. I could demonstrate it with a pipe and a kettle. So no, you're wrong and stupid to make such a stupid assertion. Yes, you can have gas pressure gradients in containers. Sealed. Easily done.
A kettle is not sealed.
Sorry, I can put a kettle in a pipe and seal it. Turn it on, and I absolutely guarantee you that there'll be a higher concentration of steam at the bottom of that pipe than there will be at the top. You know why? Because it's being produced at the bottom. Equally, you could stick your finger over it if you were inside the pipe, if it was of a vast enough diameter, that you could stick your finger over the nozzle of the kettle and get burnt if you were close enough to it, but yet you climb up to the top of a 10-foot pipe and you hardly even notice that there's any there. You know what that's called? A gradient. So yeah, you can definitely have gradients in sealed containers. It's easily demonstrated. I don't even need to put this together for you to visually conceptualize this pressure gradient I have created inside a sealed container. So you are wrong. No, we wouldn't be at equal pressure if we were contained. That would be the assertion of a moron who just doesn't understand gas and how it works.
Actually, no, because you're actually charging the container at the time, aren't you?
Oh, what, like we have on Earth with the dynamic gas being produced at the ground? So, yeah, we can definitely have that. Gas is produced at ground level.
What I'm saying...
What you're saying is that it would equalise, and you're wrong. Excuse me, don't tell me what you're saying I've heard. I heard what you said. You said it would all be at equal pressure. No, let's hear you say, yeah, I said it would, but now you've explained it with a bit of an analogy with a pipe and a kettle in it sealed, and a gas pressure gradient being created by you, just like we have gas created at ground level here on Earth, that ultimately speaking, me declaring that it would be at equal pressure is wrong. So don't tell me what you're saying, because I've heard, and it's wrong. Please address that you are incorrect before moving on with what you're saying, or interrupting me before I make my demand that you will concede that you are wrong before moving on with what you're saying. No, you are wrong. Let's hear a concession.
You said he was creating the...
Shut up, Highlander.
How is he...
Shut up! Don't white knight this prick. Who do you think you are? Shut up! Educated numpty, you were incorrect. You can have gas pressure gradients in sealed containers. That's wrong. When you said that you couldn't.
You can only have a gas pressure gradient whilst that system is being charged.
Sorry, so you can have a gas pressure gradient then? So you were wrong.
No,
you can have it then. Charged or otherwise, who cares? You can have it then.
I was
Yeah, you
saying,
pretty much
once
debunked
that
yourself, my
system
friend.
with
Yeah,
equalisation-
you're contradicting yourself rather than just conceding you were wrong. You're now stating my position, which was in contrast to your incorrect assertion. You don't just assert my position. Yeah, I realise. Yeah, I gave an example. Don't just repeat it back. You said that wasn't possible in a sealed container. Hello? So you were wrong. You're going to have some humility?
No, because you're actually charging the container.
Oh, so you can have a gas pressure gradient in a sealed container then?
So then, yes, to gas pressure.
When you are actually, when you're actually charging a container, it's actually the pressure is going up and up and up. Once you switch off whatever you're charging that container with, the gas pressure will equalise.
Oh, right. And we are in a dynamic system with gas pressure created at ground. So that would absolutely be possible in a sealed environment then.
I know, but the thing is...
So it would be possible, contrary to you saying that it would be at equal pressure, which is wrong. Are you going to have an ounce of humility, you pathetic weasel? You were wrong!
Okay, here's a quick analogy for
No!
you. If I take a
I don't
phone
want your
wire-
stupid analogy, you stupid dick. You've got one last chance to say, yeah, when I said it would equalise, I was wrong. No, you can have gradients in a sealed container, contrary to my assertion. Not a new example or analogy, some humility, or I remove you from the conversation for being a snivelling weasel with no humility. You were wrong.
If you switch off your kettle...
Fuck off. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
Educated
what this
numpty.
is.
No, you're not an educated numpty. You're just a numpty who was wrong. Just make that clear, and you can rejoin the conversation at the end of housekeeping. Don't endlessly bore us with your analogies when you're wrong, and you have no balls to just say, okay, I was wrong. Yeah, you can have gas pressure gradients in a sealed container. My example was to say that it must be equalised. And when you're not having it equalised and gas is being added, like we have here demonstrable on Earth, yeah, so useless to assert that we're not sealed in a container then, as per Highlander's claim, yeah? Highlander being the original dick claimant of this assertion. Right, Highlander?
No.
All right, so you didn't just assert that by my logic we must be in a sealed container.
Yeah, that's your logic, not mine.
Sorry, yeah, but. So not no, actually yes. Another asshole with no humility, correct?
You're the one that says we can't have gas pressure without the container.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Therefore,
Yes, that's correct.
Earth
Yes,
must
that's
have
correct.
a container.
Yes, that is correct. Did I say what Earth is? Did I say what the sky was? No. I talked about gas and how it must be contained to be at pressure. Yeah, that's what I talk about. But you fundies come along and point out that, well, we've got gas pressure here on Earth. Therefore, you're saying we must be in a container. No, you just said that, you moron. You come here, because you're stupid and low in terms of your IQ, and make my point for me. Yeah? Do you think I'm going to give that up real easily by saying we've got a dome? Oh, yeah, I'll give that up real easy. You fundy fuckwits coming here, making my point for me. Well done, Highlander. Tell us 5 more times how, by my logic, which is just gas law, we must be contained. And then tell me I've said it. Dick.
Well, you just said that I made your point for you.
Yeah, you do.
So your point, therefore, must be there is a container above the atmosphere.
Absolutely priceless. Yeah, do it 5 more times. Tell my audience how there must be a container around us here on Earth. Tell them 5 more times. And that's by my logic, you say. When I say there can't be gas pressure without a container, and you go, well, by logical inference, we breathe in gas pressure. So you're saying there must be a container. No, you're saying it, aren't you, Highlander? That's the genius of how I phrase it.
No, I'm not saying it.
Yeah, you are.
You're saying it.
No, you are, mate.
Then you can tell us about your edge again.
Yeah, you came in and strawmanned me saying there must be an edge. You said that.
But there has to be. If there is a container above the Earth's atmosphere,
Booyah!
that container must come down
Yeah,
and meet
keep it
the Earth
coming.
at some point.
Container, you say?
Therefore,
Music to
that
my
is your
ears.
egg.
Oh, it's music to my ears, Highlander. Keep it up. Doesn't realise how stupid he is. You're supposed to be on their side, mate, but here you are making logical inferences on my behalf, telling me that I've said them. Yeah, I'll do this all day. It's brilliant. Yeah, tell us all about how, by logical inference, there must be a container around Earth. Oh, right. How the hell are they going to Mars, then?
I never said there was a container.
No, you said by logical deduction. You said by logical deduction. No, I know. You said I said it. I know you're dumb, and you keep telling me that I've said it, even though you've said it about 6 times on this very show. It's very amusing to the audience. I can see the chat flying by really quickly. It's very, very funny to them. But yet you've said it. I know you're charging me with having said it, and that's the point. By logical inference, yeah. The one that you made when you started asking questions about the logical deduction you made. You keep it up, mate. It's brilliant.
Right, so you're claiming there is no container then?
Without the container, there can be no pressure. Do we have pressure here, Highlander?
Right, so why can't you answer the question then, Nathan?
I did.
Is there a container
Sorry, hold on.
Not?
He's an idiot or deaf. Did everyone hear me answer the question?
It's a simple yes or no question, Nathan.
I answered your question.
It's not hard.
I did answer you. You're just deaf or stupid. It's okay. It's fun to toy with you, though.
He doesn't realise what's happening, eh?
I know.
I didn't hear a word of anything you said, but I'm willing to bet that you said something to the effect of the antecedent for gas pressure would be containment, so I don't have to make any inferences about a dome or anything like that.
Yeah, that's why he says that, so he can state that he never ever said there is a container.
Yeah, you do, though, don't you?
I'm not a mind reader. I just know what the correct answer is.
I don't need to.
That's why he'll never answer the question straight.
Highlander, can you have gas pressure without a container?
Or does the Earth have a container?
Not the Earth. We're still talking about gas. I realise that every time you ask these questions, you immediately go to your fundamentalist sky vacuum belief. We're just talking about gas. So we're asking, or Chocolate's asking, can you have gas pressure without a container? Maybe you'd just like to give an answer, yes or no.
Well, the Earth clearly doesn't have a container, so...
There he goes again. Off he goes again to his fundamentalist religious assertion about what the sky's doing. You're just being asked about gas and what gas does.
It sounds like what he's saying is, if you say there's a day and night, he'll say, yeah, but how do we know there's a daytime? We've experienced nighttime before.
No, that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is pointing to his religious belief in a sky vacuum and saying, well, there's no container around my belief that the sky's a vacuum. Well, wowee. So, yeah, tell us more about your fundy sky vacuum belief. We're asking about what gas does.
And gas does definitely.
Yeah, I never said anything about Earth. I just asked, can you have gas pressure without a container?
Try not to go to your fundy sky vacuum belief, Highlander.
Question.
We're asking if you can have gas pressure without a container, without any fundamentalist religious assertions about the sky.
And the reason that this question is asked, because coincidentally, you think that you can have the air you breathe without one.
So also, I might add that Highlander came here and told me that I'd been telling people what the sky is. No, I haven't. But whenever we ask him about what gas does, he immediately goes to his religious sky belief. So no, Highlander, this is just mere projection. You constantly tell people what the sky is, a vacuum. And every time you're asked about what gas does, or any other physical property that we're experiencing, you'll talk about your religious sky vacuum belief. So why the hell are you charging me with telling people what the sky's doing when I describe a necessary antecedent consequent relationship for gas? I don't talk about the sky. But you're doing it continually, aren't you, you little fundy?
His whole perspective starts with that assumption in that fundy sky vacuum that you talked
and he projects it onto me. Tells me that I'm talking about what the sky does. Yeah? Right, shithead?
You know, the reason he probably comes here with these arguments is so often, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's because he has some sort of personal angst with you. He doesn't see you or some of the panel members on this show as credible. Therefore, just like I tried to do with Cavendish earlier in the pre-show, he's trying to do that with you. That's why I understood your point, because I'm constantly defending what I think, because everybody attaches what I think to you guys as if you guys are thoughts and knowledge. No, you're just carriers.
Exactly. Carriers can carry crap information, carriers can carry good information. Me as a person, does it matter? Who cares? I'm just right. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Yet this guy will constantly assert that there's an example of it in the sky vacuum belief that he's got. That's all he's got. But yet what is he here? What's his opener? You tell people what the sky is. No, I don't, asshole. You do though, don't you, Highlander? Constantly. We'll ask you again, can you have gas pressure without a container? Try not to exercise your fundy belief in sky vacuums when answering. Can you have gas pressure without a container?
Yes.
Show
See
us.
how easy that is?
Show us.
You answer a question, yes or no.
Yeah. Don't babble on. Yeah, don't babble on like you're going to try and weasel away from actually fucking demonstrating it. Don't laugh at me, you little fundy prick. You're a religious zealot. Now demonstrate what you said yes and babbled on with a demonstration. If you can have gas pressure without a container, show it.
Nathan, we don't need a container.
You slimy little bastard. You're a fundy religious zealot. Saying yes and then asking me something with a slimy little Nathan. Show us what you've claimed is true with an affirmative yes. Show us.
You'll ban me in a second.
Show us. You said yes, it is possible to have gas pressure without a container. Now don't rumpus me when I repeat the question. You said yes, so show it, you fundy zealot.
I think he's
Nathan, all you have to do is look outside and you'll see gas pressure
without using your fundamentalist religious belief in a sky vacuum, you fundy. Don't say it's possible and then immediately point to the sky and use your fundy belief that it's a vacuum. No, that's not a demonstration of gas pressure without a container. That's an assertion of your fundamentalist religious belief that the sky is a vacuum. No, that's not a demonstration, you fundy zealot.
Hey,
why don't you just turn the vacuum off then?
Highlander, do you like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
The hell?
All right. Have you seen the brilliant movie Total Recall, where the outside is considered the vacuum and they're inside the protection of a dome?
Yeah, but that's on Mars. That's not here.
Yeah, but why did they have to do that though? It's because they took the concept of gas. So why did they have to do that?
But what happens at the end of the film?
Do they activate gravity, or do they just
I don't want to do this with him. I don't want to talk about what happens in a bloody
Mars
movie.
already has
Sorry,
gravity.
I don't want to do this.
They just activated the system which will create the atmosphere.
Highlander, hello. I don't want to do this.
If
It's
Mars
nonsense.
had gravity, they would have an atmosphere.
Dude, Elijah, I don't want to talk about some movie
Sorry.
about Mars and what that does with its
I'm
contradictory
sorry, but,
plot.
You can have a planetary body with gravity without an atmosphere.
Sorry, what the hell? You've not ever going to demonstrate this or go to it or physically demonstrate it. You've just said this is only possible on Earth, right? They've got vacuum chambers to create vacuums, right? The sky isn't a giant vacuum chamber though, is it? While you rumpus me. So, look, mate, gas expands in all directions. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill that space. You can't have gas pressure without a container. So the sky is definitely not a vacuum. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! You weaselly little sod with your Nathan when I ask you to actually validate your yes affirmative answer to yes, you can have gas pressure without a container, according to you, will show us, Nathan, I'm a total weasel. That was your reply. So shut up, sit down, and understand that gas expands in all directions. And if the sky was a vacuum, the gas you're breathing would dissipate into that vast space, leaving us with no gas. Because without the container, there can be no pressure. So the gas would fill the space. Shut up!
Then, Nathan.
Shut up! What is it that you're so stupid that you can't listen when your fundamentalist religious beliefs being challenged? Yeah, you're a little weasel.
Highlander, is there
cackling
no,
little weasel. You're a cackling little weasel, mate. All you're doing is cackling at me while I take apart your zealotry.
He's a non-playable character. He's an NPC. The only thing he's going to do is interrupt you the moment you say that there can't be pressure without containment. So then what's the sky, Nathan? It's never going to stop.
Yeah, he can ask me what the sky is, but all he can do is take logical inference based on gas law, which is what I absolutely make plain when I say that you can't have gas pressure without containment. But you can be damn sure that when I imply
all
that
I'm doing is just making Nathan
all you're doing is interrupting me, you little shit. You cackling little weasel bastard. Yeah? I'm about to pummel your religion, and as soon as it comes to it, just like pointed out, you're going to interrupt. Yeah, you're a snivelling little weasel with a religious belief in sky vacuums. Yet your opening gambit here was to tell me about my assertion about what the sky is. Something I absolutely and explicitly do not do. But you, every time asked about what gas does, gas being something that expands in all directions to fill the available volume, you'll interrupt me. Because that destroys your assertion when posed as a belief and asked what gas does. Well, what gas does is based on my belief in the sky being a bloody vacuum. Well, if the sky was a vacuum, Highlander, as you can't possibly shut up, even on mute he's still talking, yeah? Your gas that you're breathing would fuck off into that void. Outer space is fake. Your religion and belief is the only thing you've got to justify a second law of thermodynamics violation. The gas would fill the space. It's trying to expand in all directions. Entropy would increase. You don't have any comeback from this at all, other than to interrupt me. You snivelling weasel, fundamentalist, religious zealot with a sky vacuum belief. Now shut up.
And then when they finally say yes to the question and you ask them to demonstrate it, crickets.
No, it was
Nathan, well, how do you...
That's what we got from a snivelling zealot weasel.
I'll try to make my poor man's attempt at basically just giving an example of expansion of gas. So you stand in your bathroom, in the corner of your bathroom, and you spray a little bit of Febreze. You wait about 10 seconds, you're going to smell it. Why? The smell should just fall straight to the floor because gas has weight, right? According to you guys.
I know.
No, you smell it because it expands and it fills your nostrils.
Hey Nathan, can I get 5 minutes somewhere?
Yeah. Go ahead, Alvin. I was done. I was on mute. Feel free.
Great. Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt that crazy baller stuff. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, I figured out something interesting. It is in the deep presuppositions of the heliocentric model. It's just a trinket, maybe fun for hanging in the Christmas tree. But anyway, there's this thing about the vastness of outer space, right? It's supposed to be expanding, isn't it? That's the theoretical consensus about it. It's
Correct.
expanding.
Yes.
Right. Well, now I figured out an ironic side effect of that, right? So we already know gas pressure expands in all directions, and we know that gravity technically couldn't pull that on a ball, not just because it doesn't exist, but even because it's a weak force. Now, let's just imagine for a second that gravity could actually muster this this amazing force to do keep that gas pressure on the ball. It's a super deep presupposition, okay? But then, yeah, the container is expanding. The universe is expanding. So even if gravity could keep that gas on the ball with its presumed force, then even it would leak out. It would be unstable because the actual container is supposedly expanding. It's so crazy. But
yeah, exactly. Boyle's law would dictate that would give an even greater decrease in pressure. Not that
exactly.
you need it, but yeah.
How ironic is that?
Precisely. So shall we move on? We've had gas pressure. Go ahead, Elijah.
No, I was just saying kudos to Arwen.
Thank you.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Yeah, we don't know what the sun is. Can't measure the distance because don't know what it is or how big it is. Can't know how big it is because we don't know. We cannot measure the distance.
Don't know if it's anything other than visuals.
It's a light in the sky.
Right.
Go ahead, educated.
Can I just make a point here about Arwen's explanation about the expansion of the container?
Right. The deep presupposed universe container that's supposedly expanding. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if it's a vacuum, then obviously the pressure will be at zero. So no matter how far you expand that container, it'll always remain zero.
What?
If a vacuum is described as zero pressure, no matter how far you expand that container, it always remain as zero pressure.
No, that doesn't make any sense. The pressure opposes the volume, and technically, even in theory, zero pressure is physically impossible no matter what. Can never be perfectly devoid.
Well, you can't have negative pressure, therefore it doesn't matter how far you expand the container.
Pressure, no, you can't have zero pressure. Absolute zero pressure is impossible. Can never
That's
be
what a
achieved.
vacuum is.
And besides, there is still the gas pressure need to expand in all directions. So if the actual presupposed universe container is expanding in volume, that means that all the substances, all the gases in that entire universe are going to be subjected to a pressure differential change because the volume versus the actual content is changing.
No, the pressure will remain the same because you can't have negative, below zero pressure.
No, that's nonsense. No, it's
Arwen,
still a
he's
container. There's still gas pressure inside.
Yeah,
there will be a differential if the volume versus the content changes. That's just empirical fact.
Arwen, he's just talking about the vacuum, not the air pressure on Earth. He's just talking about the vacuum.
Yeah, and so is
But
Arwen.
the universe is still supposed to be in a container of it all.
Look, let's just get Arwen back on track with this guy. No, Arwen, they're talking at cross purposes. He's saying it can't reach zero, and Arwen's saying, no, it's at 10 to the minus 17 torr. Well, you could still move the decimal place up if you increase the volume. So, again, he's wrong, and Arwen's right, but we'll see how long this takes.
Right. And it sounds kind of like the same myth again as to, oh, no, the gradient keeps on going until this mythical 0 point without any conception of how gas pressure expands in containers. And then there may be some gradient, but it's never going to be like this. It's just, and now he's just applying the same sky vacuum mythology on Earth on the entire universe. He's trying the same concept.
And again, we're all breathing. So what vacuum are we talking about?
The vacuum where it is presupposed that gravity can actually keep gas pressure to a ball to some extent.
Narnia. So Narnia then.
Narnia.
Right.
Yeah. He did qualify it, to be fair. Arwen, that is.
No, I know you did. I like to hear about vacuums because I'm breathing. That's kind of like a funny thing. I'm supposed to live in a sky vacuum, but I'm breathing. So somebody out there could prove that there's a vacuum above our heads. That'd be cool.
I still never
Every time you breathe in, you shortly create a pressure differential.
Go on, Elijah. Oh, he's dropped. I think he thought he couldn't be heard. He could. Go ahead, Elijah. Do I need to unmute him? Now he's rejoined. Yes, I do. Give us a second, guys, in G+. Go ahead, Elijah. Third time's the charm.
Thanks. I never understood why the sun is supposedly stably holding our galaxy together, whatever it is, our planets and this and that. But it's not pulling off the atmosphere on the Earth. It's pulling the Earth, but not the atmosphere.
Quick plug to Arwin. He's disappearing for 20 minutes. Subscribe to Arwin, ARWIJN, for Flat Earth Early Bird. Goes out daily before every debate. So check him out. 1 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time, 5 a.m. Central Standard. So yeah, Early Bird. Check it out.
Thanks for the shout.
What is the sun?
How far is it? I don't know what the sun is. Good question.
Who knows? Who knows?
And a heliocentric model is supposed to be.
I'm not about to tell you.
Plasma.
I'm not about to tell
So
you
how
what
does
the sun
plasma
does.
and gas
Hold on,
You're
Elijah.
asking what it is.
You're gonna have to wait for gaps, mate. Go ahead, Paul.
I said under the heliocentric model, the sun's supposed to be a gaseous plasma. How does gas have a surface, and how does plasma have a surface?
It's another second law of thermodynamics violation, isn't it?
It's another fairy tale.
But not only is the gas in a vacuum, but the gas in a vacuum has a surface.
Exactly.
So
How did
in other
it
words,
ever gather
is
together?
It's called gravity.
So it's a match. It's a match without
But
a
how
match.
did the first
In other words,
particles come together?
That's
Gravity.
why the other day I gave a big shout out to those first pioneer gas molecules that decided to not act like gas and just stick to a
Yeah.
wall. Yeah, those were pioneers, guys. Those were like the first molecules that started the atmosphere.
To answer your question,
They said we're going to go hang out over here. You guys going to come join me? We're going to hang out in this area, which is clumping. Wait a minute, didn't somebody talk about clumping the other day? Like water clumping.
that's called gravitational accretion. So to give the full spiel, the bending of space-time will give rise to gravitational accretion.
No, well, that's true, but I'm not even talking about just on the surface of the so-called Earth. You know what it was before, with all this heat, lava. It's really hot, but these gas molecules decided to clump over in this one little corner and get bigger and bigger and bigger until we have what do we have right now?
No, that wouldn't happen. All that would happen if any gas was created in that process, which is total bullshit and part of their bullshit just so story, the gas would still vacate into space.
How do you bend time?
Ask Brenda.
Can you do me a favour, Paul, as you're screen sharing? Can you just type in Boyle's Law and just pop it on screen?
Yeah, give me a second.
Thank you. While you're doing that, any evidence of Earth radius?
Well, if you want to have Earth radius, then you are presupposing Earth is a ball, and I do not observe Earth being a ball. So what radius?
Anybody at all?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we heard you all right.
Oh.
I'll give it a couple of seconds, then I'll shout out a few super chats.
We're waiting for ballers to answer that actually, but they're not complying.
Has it got a short verbal description, or is it just literally showing you in principle with a pictorial? There we go. Any chance you can read that, Paul? Just while I bring up my super chats, buy me a bit of time.
Hang on, I have to jump around. Boyle's law is also called Mariott's law, a relation concerning the compression expansion of gas at a constant temperature. This empirical relation formulated by the physicist Robert Boyle in 1662 states that the pressure of a given quantity of gas varies inversely with its volume at a constant temperature, and in equation form, PV equals K, a constant. This relationship was also discovered by the French physicist Edmé Mariotte. Am I saying that right? Mariotte, something like that.
Good enough. Thank you, Paul. So, yeah, the gas varies inversely with its volume. In other words, as you increase the volume of the container, the gas pressure will decrease. It has a greater surface area for the particles to collide with. Therefore, you'll get less collisions per square inch if you have more square inches. Inversely, if you decrease the size of the container and have less square inches with the same number of particles, you will increase the amount of collisions, ergo the pressure will go up. This could be demonstrated with a balloon that's underinflated. So you put one breath of air into a balloon and it's floppy, the skin isn't taut. However, if you force all of that air by squeezing one end of the balloon until you get a very small space, you can make the skin stretch quite considerably because you've decreased the size of the container. There we go. Thank you very much. I'll shout out a few super chats. So shout out to Alexander, who says, all of these globers born stupid, or do they fake it on purpose? No, they're religiously indoctrinated from birth, like we all were. So in some cases, have mercy, Alexander. But thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Paraplegic Bear says, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Nathan calling him a weasel. Pseudoscience sod. Oh, my weasel. Love it. Oh, I see. Pseudoscience sodomite weasel. Oh, gotcha. Fair enough. Thank you very much for the super chat, Paraplegic Bear. Also, shout out to Rakia Life, or Dave Rakia Gafford. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. He says, shout out to gases having weight as they go up to the magic spot in the sky, being held by a weak force. Indeedy do. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Rakia Life. That's it. That's all the super chats.
That brings up something Righteous was talking about yesterday on Discord. I was listening. I couldn't interact with it. They equate pressure and gravity. Wasn't that what you were talking about late last night, Righteous, to somebody? They were kept trying to say gravity and pressure are the same because the only way you can weigh a gas, it has to be contained, right? And you also have to increase the pressure to show that it's even weight to it. And so they're saying there's this downward vector. But how does an open system have a downward vector? Wasn't you talking about that yesterday or last night?
That was a pretty good summary by you, Paul. Sorry, Righteous. I was just going to say that was a really good summary to begin with. We got all the information we needed just from that, but that was great. Tell us all about it, Righteous. Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, they avoid using the word gravity, right? So they use weight, which I don't mind if they use the word gravity. But then I asked them, how do you know the atmosphere that we breathe has weight? And they can't use the container example because then it's contained. And I don't want to get into that now. But then it comes down to, the barometer. It measures pressure. So they say we know the atmosphere has weight because, we measure it with a barometer. And then, how does it go again? And then we know, it just goes, it's basically like a circular reasoning. They go back and forth between the barometer and the weight. But it's not necessarily proving weight. It's just like their belief.
But barometer's not measuring weight. It's not a scale.
But they say that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say it is measuring weight. They're trying to say the pressure
example from Zanuck
is weight.
The example from Zanuck would be you're riding in a car, you open the window and you stick your hand up. You feel the weight of the pressure on your hand.
You said that?
The end.
Either way, they can't
His
prove
example
that
is as
the
follows.
atmosphere has weight.
You're riding in
bottom
a
line.
car, you stick your hand out of the window and you feel the weight of the pressure. That is an
I appreciate
example.
that, but the thing is, if you say I've got a scale inside a chamber and you increase the pressure in the chamber and you say, look, the scale's going up, you go, yes, but that's not a measure of the pressure because the pressure is the force exerted on the walls of the container. That's what gas pressure is. It's not the force on this downward axis only. That's weight. So they're basically using a false equivalence, because weight isn't equivalent to pressure. Pressure expands in all directions, so it's exerted on all of the walls of that container that you've got in my example with a scale inside it, not just down. Equally as much up. So if they say, well, look, I've got loads going down, well, yeah, you've got loads going up as well, wanting to go off into the vacuum. It's not just the down, it's expanding in all directions. That's what gas does.
Yeah, so I just have a belief.
Well, they're just taking away the actual facts of what gas does. Gas expands in all directions, freely and randomly moving in all directions. So when they say, no, just down, because that's what my gravity I use when I bend conceptual space-time to hold a gas here without a container, I just measure down. Well, gas expands in all directions, I'm afraid, fundies. So yeah, you can try and equivocate this with gravity, but it's going to fail miserably because it isn't just down. It expands in all directions.
They're claiming gas particles individually have weight. And I think what this argument brings up is that they have to put gas under great pressure in order to measure some sort of weight. Gas in its non-pressurized state has almost no weight at all.
Yeah,
And I think
it's at
that's where
equilibrium.
they're equivocating pressure with weight.
Well, no, that's not true either, because you can have heavier gases that would give you a greater downward force, but they are still simultaneously expanding in all directions to fill the available volume they have to fill. Now, by way of entropy, you're still going to have a dispersion effect if you've got a heavier gas below a lighter gas, because there's no bonds between them. So in the same way when you have your sulfur hexafluoride, a man-made gas, very, very inert, very heavy, and you've stuck it in a fish tank, well, the reason they stuff the cardboard over the top when they pump it in is because it can still spill out between the bonds of the lighter gases. And that's precisely what's going to happen eventually. It just dissipates. Because that's what gas does, it's unbonded. But it doesn't change the fact that gas is free to move in all directions. And it does.
How would you weigh a gas again?
That's
You
the
could stick a
question.
scale in it and just take the measurement of the downward action only. That's all they're doing. They're just saying, well, look, there is a downward action. Yeah, there is. But if you overfilled a balloon, so you've got a lot of particulate matter pressing down at any given time, well, that's also simultaneously trying to escape outwards and upwards against whatever the container it's in, because you've pumped it full of high pressure. So if you were to rapidly let the gas escape, you pop a balloon, well, it's going to rapidly go up. So it's not just the force that they're measuring down, excluding all other directions, because if you were to pop that balloon, you'd see that it would expand rapidly upwards as well. Vastly more rapid if you put more pressure in to the container. Pressure being the measurement, not downward force. They need to equivocate that because they say the reason it doesn't go out is because of the downward force. Well, what's the downward force? Well, me measuring just that aspect of what gas does. Something that expands in all directions. It's the most useless smear of heliocentric bullshit since I've got here, if I'm honest. You know, the how can you have gas pressure without a container? The sky is not a vacuum argument is totally undebunkable, but the flapping of pigeons that we see as a result is to lead to the crappiest smear of bullshit ever. Oh, well, gas only goes down. It's weight. No, it isn't. You obviously don't understand what gas is. And that's the easiest rebuttal you'll ever have against these fundies when they start talking about how gas only has a downward vector. No, it doesn't. They're just wrong. And it demonstrates stupidity. Well, more power to them if you want to appear stupid by making such ludicrous declarations that pressure is the same as weight. No, it isn't. Just your assertion, you need the downward force. What for? Oh, to hold the gas here. No, well, no. You've still got the upward forces in a balloon that you're weighing that's overfilled on a scale. It's still trying to expand upwards as well. More so if you put more in the balloon. So you haven't got just a downward force for weight to hold gas with bending of conceptual mediums, known as space-time. It's all a load of bollocks. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Balls inside balls that are rotating. Yeah.
About any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Don't all go at once.
I've never heard one.
Yeah, they're all pseudosciences.
Oh, was I on mute the whole time?
Yeah, you were, yeah.
Jesus, I was talking non-stop. Well, see, not by this astronomer that has a PhD called Danny Faulkner, because he said that he can refute any flat Earth claim, and he said as a good advice to people to not look into YouTube videos about flat Earth. And then when he asked how you have gas pressure next to a vacuum, his answer was, well, look at a YouTube video.
Yeah, the outrage. Of it.
Who says there's gas pressure next to a vacuum? Nobody says that.
Yeah, your sky is claimed to be a vacuum. 10 to the minus 17 torr. A vacuum.
Yeah, nobody says that there's gas pressure next to a vacuum.
I've just said, that was a repetition of the exact same thing you said that I addressed. So try and listen.
But you did
maybe address what I say rather than then talking through it. You've ignored it the first time. Now you're talking through it the second time. Try and not use every single globehead tactic. So yeah, your sky is claimed to be. Can't take part in a conversation, can you, Brenda? Yeah, what you've said is incorrect. I'm debunking it, and you've ignored it. And then when I've tried to repeat it to get you to address it, you've continued to talk through me whilst repeating it. Something you ignored and repeated your claim. Not like we were deaf. No, you're deaf. You've ignored my rebuttal. With that, I'll say another huge, massive thank you, first and foremost, to Retro Bill, who says, I will match all super chats by Iraqi Life today. Well, happy days. It's been a tough month, Retro Bill, so I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 live stream, then this is where we bid you farewell. Another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. Stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Another shout out to Retro Bill for smashing the super chat after the live stream finished.
Do you want to correct your straw man fallacy, bully boy?
Shut up.
So what did you call me?
Bully boy. That's what you are. You're a bully boy.
And you like it, huh, Brenda?
Right, why are you ad hominem me rather than addressing? I pointed out.
What have you been doing? You've been doing it for the last hour.
I'll give you one last opportunity to actually let me respond and talk without you interrupting me. Then I'll kick you out. You're talking through me and ignoring what I'm saying. So you said nobody says the sky vacuum's next to gas pressure. That's the basis of your model. The heliocentric Earth is declared wrong because it violates the second law of thermodynamics to be an open system next to a vacuum. We have gas pressure at the surface of Earth. The sky is a vacuum. There is nothing in between the two, according to your crazy fundamentalist religious belief in Earth as a sphere with the sky as a vacuum. That would place gas pressure next to a vacuum. It can't be. The sky's definitely not a vacuum because the gas we breathe would disperse into that vacuum.
The Earth is a closed system, Nathan. And that's not our model.
What?
Earth is a closed system.
Define closed
Really?
system.
Yeah.
Brenda, and explain how Earth is a closed system.
Yeah, please.
Look it up. There are isolated, closed, and open systems.
Brenda, the Earth is not a closed system; it's an open system.
No, it's not. It's a closed.
No, it's an open system.
Hold on, let's get
No,
clarity.
you're wrong.
Hold on, let's get clarity. You should say Earth. Do you mean Earth, when they reify a sphere model, is claimed to be an open system? There's a simple rebuttal to this. In this bullshit claimed to be spherical, heliocentric, model-based reified world, how would you leave that reified sphere in a vacuum and go to places like Mars or the edge of the solar system to send back pictures of bullshit from Narnia if it's a closed system?
A closed system means that there's exchange of energy, but not an exchange of matter to any significant degree.
Voyager is claimed to be fucking matter, isn't it? And it's fucked off to the edge of the solar system. So that would make it a fucking open system, wouldn't it, you daft bitch? So don't call me a bully. You're a thicko. You're a fucking retard. In your bullshit world of spheres, it's claimed that matter, Voyager, has left Earth and travelled to the edges of the solar system. That would make Earth an open system. You said it's closed. Your bullshit model says stuff's leaving it. Matter. Stupid pictures coming from stupid fake satellites in fake space, which is a second law of thermodynamics violation, because you've got an open system next to a vacuum. Do you understand, you stupid cow?
No, it's
No. You call me a bully, you're just stupid. You've boldly declared that it's an open, a closed system. And I've pointed out that matter's claimed to be leaving in the form of Voyager. That's matter in your bullshit model of spheres that you reify.
Brenda.
You don't even know what the word
you don't even know sounds like an ad hominem attack, you stupid bitch. Now, I'm not a bully. You are. You're attacking me personally, rather than addressing my argument in rebuttal to your claim it's a closed system in the heliocentric world of reified spheres in vacuums with gas pressure next to vacuums. Yeah, in that bullshit reified sphere model world, you've got Voyager, which is matter, leaving Earth and travelling to the edge of the solar system. Ergo, your claim Earth is a closed system in the heliocentric model is wrong.
It's not wrong, bully.
Yeah, it is! You are stupid at a fundamental level. You don't understand your own religion. Your religion is claimed to be an open system in a vacuum, with gas pressure next to it, with Voyager leaving it. And it's matter that's leaving, in the form of that Voyager bullshit that's supposed to be sending pictures back from the edge of bullshit space. So yeah, you're wrong. It's not claimed to be closed in your bullshit reified model world. You're wrong.
Yeah, you're just wrong. It is a closed system.
Piss off, get out. Yeah, I'm just wrong. It's claimed to be closed. No, it isn't. Go and learn your religion better, you stupid moron. Don't come here tell me I'm a bully. Yeah, no, that's not going to wash. That's an ad hominem attack. You came, said your sphere world was closed. No, it isn't. I think you're confusing Spaceballs with your reified heliocentric world. Yes, Spaceballs might be closed with a little hatch for things to travel out. But in your bullshit world, there is no space barrier. It's supposed to be open, with a transference of matter. In reality, gas would fill the void. That's why the sky's not a vacuum, because you can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum. The gas would fill the space. It's definitely not claimed to be closed. Brenda's a total moron.
So the other day we got it's approximately closed, and today we got it's fully closed. That's interesting.
No, chocolate, not approximately, relatively.
Relatively, approximately, open and closed at the same time. I mean, what the hell is going on here? And now she just comes in where it's a closed system? Really? Sound like Bill Nye that one time that Bill Nye guy lost his mind and said, Earth is a closed system. You can't leave the Earth. What was he talking about? Was he on the same thing that you're on, Brenda? I don't get it. People were supposed to have walked on the moon. What happened there? Guys are falling apart, man. Get it together.
Yeah, I got an article too that their own rhetoric, thephysics.org, says this curious case of Earth's leaking atmosphere. Is atmosphere, atmo, is that matter? Just wondering.
Oh, you don't understand, bro. That's relative.
All she's got is to call me a bully. That's all she's got.
Yeah, because she likes it.
She calls you a bully and then completely gets her so-called model wrong. Pretty funny. Any other Globers in here want to tell us how it's a closed system? Does anybody agree with Brenda? Please tell us.
No, it's an open system.
Say that again.
It's an open system. It's not a closed system.
Well, then the gas would
We
fill
have
the
closed
space.
sys-
The gas
We have
you
closed
breathe.
systems on the Earth, but the Earth itself is actually an open system.
Well, then the gas would fill the space. The vacuum, the emptiness, that's an available volume for the gas we're breathing to fill. The sky's definitely not a vacuum then.
Do you want to go for the pressure gradient again?
Sorry, pressure gradient, didn't we cover... Sorry, mate. I'll try and keep my nerve while I say that I've already said this to you personally once. We went through this on the live show, did we not?
Yes.
So we established at the end that saying pressure gradient would still definitely not address the antecedent of a container to have gas pressure in the first instance. It's a delta of gas pressure. First containment, then an introduction of gas, then a gas pressure gradient. So assertions of gas pressure gradients doesn't in any way address the fact that if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill that space. Your straw man of a pressure gradient is something that would still require containment, as described now to you personally twice.
And as I...
It doesn't require that. You're just wrong.
Sorry, was I talking to you, Brenda? Why are you talking?
We have gravity. Gravity holds the Earth.
I'll have to
and
stick
that's
her
why
on you
there's
again. She doesn't understand her place. Don't bully your way into this conversation, Brenda, you bully. Someone else was talking, you bully. How dare you? Can someone counsel Brenda on how not to bully people? I'm really sorry about that, educated numpty. Brenda likes to bully her way into these sorts of conversations. You feel free to explain how the sky could possibly be a vacuum when entropy would increase and the gas would fill the available space without using a straw man that's a delta of gas pressure, i.e. it would still require containment to be gradiated, my friend. Third time I've detailed
No,
that.
I was just going to say that your assumption that we have a container is a reification fallacy.
What assumption? That we have a container? Sorry, did I say those words? Are you now doing a Highlander?
No, but...
No!
As I...
Shut up! So, don't fucking misrepresent what I say, you little weasel prick. I didn't say that. I said that without the container there can be no pressure. That's a declaration about what gas does. Now, your declaration about straw men gradients still requires a container. Okay? Now, my further assertion in regards to your religious belief about a sky vacuum is as follows. If the sky was a vacuum, which I assure you, you will be asserting at some point, contrary to your claim of my assertion, which I haven't made, if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. It's called entropy. The gas wants to expand in all directions to fill the available volume it has to fill. No need to interrupt me. If space is a space the gas can fill, it will fill it. The fact that it doesn't means the sky is definitely not a vacuum.
Over.
Not a reification fallacy either. Knucklehead.
Well, today so far it's been called a reification fallacy and what was the other one? A presupposition fallacy, whatever that is.
Yeah. Go ahead and state your claim, and then define a reification fallacy, and then connect them.
He was pulling a Highlander on Nathan, so it's a Highlander fallacy.
Go ahead, let him go.
Do you know what a reification fallacy is?
He's asking me what a reification fallacy is. You charged us with a reification fallacy. Now go ahead, state what a reification fallacy is, and then show the example where we're treating it as a reification fallacy.
A reification fallacy is an abstract belief in a hypothetical construct which is treated as a concrete, real event or physical entity.
Okay. How is a container a concept?
Well, you've presupposed there is a container.
No. How is a container a concept?
Because you presuppose
No, the presupposition has nothing to do with the reification fallacy. What is a container a concept?
A container? No.
Then it's not a reification fallacy. Thank you very much.
Hang on. Can you demonstrate there is a container above us?
Hang on.
Hang on to what? You're going to kill yourself again? Because you already just destroyed your entire argument. Are you kidding?
Can you have you demonstrated there is a container above us?
Sorry, here we go again. So I said it now. This is the third time. I have not made that claim.
No, hang on. No, I wasn't asking you. I was just saying, do you have any evidence whatsoever, any physical measurements of a container that's above us?
Oh, yes,
it's
I do.
by definition.
Yeah. Let me answer that.
So
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So therefore, it's a reification fallacy.
No, I answered yes. Is he not listening to me? Yes, I do have evidence of that. You're not going to ask me what the evidence is, perhaps? Like I did with Numpty Boy, who was a weasel and went, Nathan, and started asking me. I'm just answering yes, I do have evidence of that.
Okay, please supply the evidence.
We have gas pressure here. I'm breathing it. That's my evidence.
So therefore, you're asserting a container. You're asserting a container.
Can you define gas pressure, buddy?
I don't mention anything. I don't claim to know what the sky is. My declaration, I'll repeat, this is the fourth time, to you personally. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
So you're asserting
I haven't finished. Do I need to start again? It's clear you're not in listening mode. I'll start again. Try to listen. Without the container, there can be no pressure. That's one statement. Statement two. You and I, have got gas pressure. End of statement.
So do you have any physical evidence of this container?
Gas pressure. He didn't listen.
No.
Read my lips. We have gas pressure.
So again, you're just asserting the container.
No, I said, I'll try again. I'll say it slower. As a statement of fact, by way of many different gas laws, I can assert with absolute certitude that without the container, there can be no pressure. End statement. Now a new statement. We have gas pressure here. I'm breathing it.
And you still haven't proven there is a container above us.
I have. It's a necessary antecedent.
Knucklehead.
I've said it. I'll say it again. Listen to the first part. Without the container, there'd be no pressure. There wouldn't be any if there wasn't a container. Do you understand statement one? Without the container, there can be no pressure. Do you understand that declaration of a necessary antecedent consequent relationship? Do you understand it first?
Yes, but is there any physical evidence of this container?
Sorry, it's a hypothetical statement about gas and what it does. There isn't a physical container. I'm not holding anything. I'm using words. Hello? I'll say my statement of absolute fact again. And I want you to understand the declaration, not ask me if I'm holding anything. Yeah, in this instance, it's a conceptual container. That's not to say it's a reification fallacy. Containers are real. But without the container, the hypothetical one I'm detailing conceptually, there can be no pressure. Now, do you understand that consequent antecedent relationship between the existence of pressure in the first place and the thing to press upon being necessary for it to press upon? Do you get that?
And you've just explained a reification fallacy, treating it as a hypothetical construct, which you are treating it as a
Can we
physical
have this
entity.
guy define gas
Container
pressure?
isn't a concept, you knucklehead.
He's dumb. He's dumb.
But the container you're describing above us is.
Okay, mate. I'll try and explain what a concept is. I'll dumb it down to what I perceive to be your level, and then we'll move on. If we can't move on, we'll have to just end the conversation. Do you appreciate that I can drive my car?
Yes.
So even though you're not driving the car, you can conceptualize something that is in actuality a real thing.
Yes.
Now, do you understand that a model inside a computer is something that you could also conceptualize?
But it's a hypothetical model, isn't it?
And
It's not real.
could you physically drive, like my example with a car inside a computer?
Again, it's hypothetical.
So can you drive, by way of a yes or no answer, a conceptual hypothetical car inside a computer? Yes or no? Can you drive a conceptual computerized car on the fucking road? Yes or no?
No.
So if I am to assert that I can drive a hypothetical conceptual computerized car, that would be a reification fallacy, whereas asking you to conceptualize my actual car is not me reifying a car. Do you understand, given that I've dumbed it down to what I perceive to be your meagre level of intellect, to explain this simple concept?
But if your hypothetical car doesn't match up to what is in reality, then therefore it's a hypothetical car. Therefore,
Which car?
I can't drive it.
Which one? The one I'm going to jangle
There's
the
another
keys.
thing that you're not
Sorry, whoever's interrupting. This is hard enough with a dumb fuck as it is. Excuse me, whoever's interrupting. I'm dealing with a Dumbo and it's hard enough as it is. Try to contain yourself. If I jangle the keys to my real car and you imagine what that car is like, you can still appreciate that I'm not guilty of a reification fallacy when I describe that car. Whereas if I describe one that's in a computer and I say I've got a Ferrari, it's real. I drive it on the road. And then you find out it's in Gran Turismo. I'm guilty of a reification fallacy. Not when I'm driving a real car and just getting you to conceptualize it by example. One's a reification fallacy, thinking that the car in the computer's real. One isn't, like a container.
And you are just describing a hypothetical entity, which you are describing about this so-called container above us.
But containers
The
are real.
The keys in his hand. Is that an
Containers are real.
entity? Is that
Dude,
hypothetical?
Guys, this is hard enough.
Are those actual keys that
evidence
start an
of
actual
container?
car? Are you kidding, bro?
No worries. Maybe I
Does
should have
anyone
used a.
have any
I should have
Donald,
used something
Donald,
else.
Donald.
I should. Guys, I'll try one last time. I'll dumb it down a bit further. Right. Now, instead of comparing cars, this time the thing inside the computer model is gonna be a star cruiser with hovercraft abilities that can
Let's
levitate
get away
and
from
go
it.
through space-time. Oh, he's got to the fucktard
look.
level that you understand now, is it? So you're going to interrupt? As the pennies dropped, is that why you're interrupting me? Because I've dumbed it down so fucking far that the pennies finally dropped, and you're going to try now at this last moment to make yourself look a bit less stupid by interrupting me? Shut up! You stupid idiot! Yeah, a container is real.
Give me physical evidence of this container. Come on, give me physical evidence of this container.
You asked. I've given it you 4 times. You're too stupid to listen.
Evidence.
And now you're interrupting.
Assertion.
Now you're interrupting again. Yeah,
all
gas.
You have is assertions.
Yeah, you're still talking, aren't you? You've asked for something and you won't shut up for the answer. That's how stupid and ignorant you are. You've asked a question, now I'm going to answer you.
Physical
for the 4th time.
Evidence.
You won't shut up. Bit triggered, mate.
Physical evidence.
I heard the 1st time and the 3rd time and the 5th time and the 6th time. Physical evidence, yeah, I'm going to give it you if you shut the fuck up long enough. Triggered, mate.
You have assertions. You don't have physical evidence.
I'm going to give you the answer if you shut the fuck up long enough. You just totally triggered.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
Totally triggered.
I've had it.
Yeah, evidence would be gas pressure. That's the evidence. It's been given to you 5 times with a qualification of a necessary antecedent consequent relationship that I've had to dumb down because you believed a container was a reification fallacy. We're dealing with complete morons. People who are of sub-level intellect. Stupid people. That's what he is. And when he finally got to the point that I compared the reification of a star cruiser with a car, something that blatantly obviously has been reified into existence if I say I'm driving it, suddenly the penny dropped. But I have to dumb it down twice over for him to start interrupting me as the penny drops, because I've dumbed it down to the level of total stupidity that he is at. This is the level of dumb fucks we have to deal with here. And that's why we've been brainwashed so easily. The vast majority of people are stupid. That's why they've been brainwashed. Because they're stupid. And the people who control them know it. They know they're all as stupid as this idiot and Brenda. They're easy to totally swindle. Because they've only got to tell them that gravity will hold gas. And they'll believe it when they stick air in a balloon and weigh it. Because they're morons. And they'll believe any old crap they're told on TV by somebody who's wearing a white coat. We come along and go, oh, well, that defies natural law. And they go, no, it doesn't. That's their best response. Morons and idiots is what we have to contend with daily.
Yes, sir.
We have a little blessing. Radius Dominus, Gravitus Spiritus Sanctus. May the not actual force of gravity be with you. Go in peace, in R you trust. Arwin.
Arwin.
Right, you guys stick around if there's a bit of audio chaos when I take you off mute. With that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. Of course, another massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G+ panels for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!